And welcome. Welcome, everyone, to another edition of Real Talk. A little bit of a somber mood tonight. Not myself, just the actual movie that we're going to be talking about tonight. Now, that haunting trumpet score was from the brilliant, and underrated movie, The Salton Sea. Now, the Salton Sea is about, all my notes are loading and unloading. Before we get into that, though, thank you for tuning in on 92.5 WLSD, The Vault, and 1220 AM. You can also check out all the programming at 93.5 WAXM. They have a lot of great programming every week. And check out the web pages as well. And the Facebook page and the on-demand if you're curious about some teen killers, as I go in and discuss one each Wednesday, and that's on The Dark Place. That's available on the on-demand section on WAXM.com. So tonight, like I said, The Salton Sea is a movie starring Val Kilmer, and it's about a man who has lost everything. Now, there are going to be spoiler alerts, so this is a movie with twists and turns and a little mystery and mystique behind it. So if you don't want to know, continue listening, but just kind of tune that part out, because I will be going into a little bit of that tonight. So he's a man who has lost everything. He's created a new identity for himself to try to, I guess you could say, seek revenge on those responsible for taking away someone that he really, really loved, which was his wife. So he is a man on a mission. But at first in the film, he is presented playing the trumpet, flames all around, and he is telling his story. A story very compelling, a story that not many people actually watched upon release in the theater, which is quite sad because it's such an amazing movie. Now, I did happen to see it in the theater when it came out, 2002. It was at the Shirlington 7, right outside of Washington, D.C. They played a lot of small, intimate, art house kind of films, and this movie definitely fell into that, I guess you could say, genre. But the only reason being is because there was one particular scene that DJ Caruso, the director, refused to take out. And that is why this movie only got a small, limited theatrical release. But let me read you a little bit of the cast that is included in this masterpiece of a film noir movie. You have Val Kilmer as Danny Parker, or Tom Van Allen. Vincent D'Onofrio as Pooh Bear. You got Adam Goldberg as Cujo, Luis Guzman as Quincy, Doug Hutchinson as Gus, Anthony LaPaglia as Al, Peter Sarsgaard, Deborah Kara Unger, B.D. Wong, R. Lee Ermey, and Danny Trejo. So this is a film of who's who among actors, and those faces where you might not know their name, but I would guarantee you, out of these 10 or 12 actors and actresses that I just named, you would probably recognize at least 8 of them. I would more or not believe, I think that you definitely would. So this is directed by a director. This was his first feature, but his name is DJ Caruso, and he's even directing movies up into present day. Some of his other films include Taking Lives, Two for the Money, Disturbia, Eagle Eye, I Am Number 4, and most recently the movie Shut In, with a very reclusive and rare acting Vincent Gallo. We might dive into one of his movies. We might do Buffalo 66 next week. We might do that.
So here are some a few little facts about this movie. This movie cost $18 million, and with a cast like this, they're all working for lower salaries than they normally would take. But this movie is shot on location, and shooting a film on location costs a lot of money because you have to travel. You've got to haul all of the equipment. I don't know what kind of catering they would have had on this film. I would assume some, um, but 18 mil in 2002, that would be, I would think, somewhat of a safe bet considering the cast that you have. But looking a little further into the film and seeing some of the more controversial aspects of it, you could see why this movie might not have reached the mainstream audience that producers originally thought. So D'Onofrio purposely, I didn't read the rest, did I? It has 63% Rotten Tomatoes score, so a little bit better than average if you care about what those critics say. And I really don't really care what they say. I can tell you pretty much by the trailer if I'm going to like the movie. Not even like the movie, but if it's a movie that I would want to see. And I'm judging a movie based upon the actual movie, not based upon a lot of things that critics seem to judge movies by in the present day. But it has an IMDb score of 7 and an audience rating score of 82% positive. So the audience seemed to like it quite a bit more than the critics. So like I said, this movie was an $18 million feature. It only made $764,000 back. So it was a financial flop. And it only made $835,000 worldwide. A far cry from the $18 million budget. And like I said, the reason being is that the subject matter is he will get. It's going to be tough because I really might have to give away some spoilers. But I do want you all to see this movie, and it's on. I have the DVD of it, but it is also streaming on Tubi, I think is what it is. So if you want to go in there and watch it, just type in the Salton Sea. It's the third, I think the third option that comes up, and you should check it out after the show, after the next show. Now, what is also fun is that I have a friend named Terry, and Terry used to be a part of the old original Midnight Mutants radio show. This is a little diversion, sorry. But she was Psycho Stalker Terry on that show. And she had been in part of the Other People show when we aired up in DC, in the Fairfax area. But now she happens to live in a place called Slab City. Slab City is only a hop, skip, and a jump, only a few miles from the actual Salton Sea, which is one of the places they went to actually film this movie. So that's a little bit of a sidetrack of a note, just in case you were wondering, and I know that you weren't, but there you go. So to continue, D'Onofrio, he plays Pooh Bear in this film. And Pooh Bear is a character that has snorted so much drugs throughout his life that he no longer has a nose. So he uses this kind of like a plastic nose. So he said, D'Onofrio purposely mouth-breathed during the entire production to create a unique timbre and receptive speech patterns. Then he added a nose squeak after finding out that some persons who had lost their nose secondary to trauma or cancer produce a high-pitched sound after completing certain sounds. So he actually did some research and incorporated that into the character of Pooh Bear. And I would say Pooh Bear is probably on screen, I don't know, about 20 minutes, and he's very memorable. Um, and this is a movie with a lot of memorable characters and a lot of standout characters. So this is another thing interested, like when I was talking about earlier, how this movie was. It's really amazing that it even got made, because it was originally said that writer Tony Gayton, that this movie was written not to be produced. This movie was only supposed to be a writing sample, something wild or experimental that he could show producers to get work. He said he was very surprised when Castle Rock Entertainment wanted to produce this film. And if you've seen this film, you would totally agree with that. Because after reading that, and I didn't really understand, I didn't really know that fact until after the movie and doing some research, that you could not make this movie for an $18 million movie today. If you wanted to try to produce a movie of this caliber, you might be able to raise a million, maybe $2 million. A major studio, Castle Rock, which is, I think, Billy Crystal, one of his production companies, and it was picked up by Warner Brothers to distribute that. Distribute. I don't know why I said that, but anyway, you can see that this film, yeah, it might not have been written to have been made, just a sample, and what a sample it was. What a sample it was. So here's one of the reasons it only got a minor release, and I think it only played in maybe 27 or 28 theaters, is Warner Brothers was not comfortable with the significant drug content, and there's a sequence in there where JFK is assassinated, but with it's a reenactment with pigeons, and they weren't they wanted that taken out of the movie in order for it to get a wide release. The scenes remained in, but the film was only given a limited theatrical release. But you would think, though, I would think, you read the script when it came in. I was able to make this movie because of the script, which had the scene in it. And now, after the scene is in, which is the introduction to Pooh Bear, it gets you right inside of his world right away, because they're like, they're way out in the desert, and this little reenactment with these pigeons, you could easily see why they would want to take this out. But then, how would you introduce Pooh Bear? Because this is a perfect introduction to his character. Another little blink and you'll miss it trinket is Rosario Dawson is one of the sleeping drug addicts at an after party. She is seen lying face up just a few minutes after the credit sequence. And I think I saw this early on. I think the first time second time I watched the movie, but the first time I watched it after purchasing it, I did think, wow, that looked like Rosario Dawson. And lo and behold, it happens to be. You like this music? We had a little double audio there. That was kind of weird, wasn't it? Just listen to this saxophone. It's supposed to be sad. I don't really know how sad this music happens to be, but it's supposed to be pretty sad. Now, the plot and the story of this movie is a pretty simple plot and story. Not. It isn't. Not at all. You have, like I said, you have Val Kilmer's character. He's introduced as Danny Parker, which is kind of like an alter ego that he has created to go inside and try to find out who killed his wife. Now you're introduced to him through this world of you honestly don't find out until maybe 20 minutes through the first act what he's actually trying to do, and then it's kind of even then and there, and I won't give away all the spoilers, but even then and there, it is kind of a twists and turns, and they really are. But you're introduced to this character. He's sitting there playing the trumpet, more morose than this one. There's not a score that I can find, and flames all the way around him. He's saying, "I'm Danny Parker, or am I? No, I'm Tom Van Allen." He has almost lost himself in this character that he's created. And Danny Parker is this, they're referred to in the film as tweakers, but he's this, he's got the leather jacket and he's got the faux hawk with green hair dye in it, and then he's got the tattoos. An interesting thing about the poster, which I actually own the poster, but I guess within many moves, it's gotten lost over the years. But the poster was originally at one of the theaters that I worked at in Herndon, and it has, if you look it up, or if you go on Ryan Parker's Facebook page, you can check out the poster, and it's pretty much the back tattoo of Val Kilmer, and then you've got the scene of the Salton Sea, and on the back of Val Kilmer, he has a tattoo of like a skull with a skeleton or a skull with these flames and such. And someone had complained that that poster scared their children or child. So we took the poster down, and I was like, I'm just going to take it. Can I have the poster? They said, yeah, we're not going to get that movie, so go ahead and take it. So it is a very cool poster, and I have reordered that poster. So it should be arriving very, very soon. But getting back to the movie, he's trying to find out. He's in the Salton Sea, and you learn this within the movie. But he's at the Salton Sea with his wife. They go into a convenience store, a gas station. While they're in there, the gas station is robbed, and a stray bullet goes through the wall and shoots his wife. The bullet hits his wife. He's hit as well, but not critical. She's hit, and he's laying there trying to crawl toward her. She's looking at him in the eye, and he's crying because he knows she's not going to make it. And there are men outside that door, outside that bathroom door. If they hear us, they will come in and finish the job. So he's forced to be silent. And then his wife says it's going to be okay, as she drifts away into his arms. The only bit of evidence that he found was one single red hair. And he had noticed a ring on one of the shooter's hands as they left. And he was able to use his logic and detective work of his own to pinpoint who he thought these people were. And therefore, the saga kind of begins. So I won't give away a lot more other than that. But that's kind of where he's coming from. He has nothing more to live for. Nothing. So his life now is revenge. His life now is creating someone else to do this because Tom Van Allen is just a trumpet player. Just a trumpet player. So, like I said, there's a lot of great actors and actresses in this movie. There's not anyone that is everyone's solid. I mean, Val Kilmer as Danny Parker and Tom Van Allen, pitch perfect. This would probably be, this might be, he's wonderful in a lot of films. And he's great in a lot of films that aren't good. Doc Holliday in Tombstone, amazing. Jim Morrison in The Doors, amazing. Even the movie he did with Kim Basinger, even that film, not a great film, but he's good in that. Batman Forever, he's a good Batman. He deserved a better Batman movie than he got. I would have liked to seen how Val Kilmer would have done a serious Batman movie, like a real Batman movie. I mean, and Batman Forever was fun. I've seen that movie probably 15 times, maybe probably 15 times. And it's a great, fun, mindless movie. But I think Val Kilmer deserved a more serious Batman. Even in The Island of Dr. Moreau, Val Kilmer's performance is very odd. And it works in the movie that's not a great movie, but very fun and intriguing to watch, especially if you know a lot about the behind the scenes of that particular film. But anyway, you got Adam Goldberg as Cujo. I always think it's a nice gem when Adam Goldberg gets thrown in there. And he does a great job as Cujo. He's only in probably 10 minutes of the movie. Like I said, Vincent D'Onofrio as Pooh Bear, great performance, very unique character. Not what I was expecting after hearing them explain Pooh Bear on the way to meeting him. Not what I was expecting, and it might not be what you were expecting either. So I would definitely like to know your all's thoughts on that. You've got Luis Guzman, Doug Hutchinson, and he's probably now known more for marrying he was 55 and he had married a 16-year-old girl with her parents' permission. And then I didn't know this until a few nights ago when I was doing some research. I should have written her name down as well. But she had she had been teased or harassed by the Karen named Chrissy Teigen. And Chrissy Teigen had even sent her private Twitter messages, being mean to her. And that's how Doug Hutchinson, he was also in The Green Mile, the Tom Hanks movie, which I got to be honest with you, I've never seen. I've never seen The Green Mile. But it's got Anthony LaPaglia, and he was in the Big Stone Gap movie. He was nice. This is kind of odd, but I've met two people that have been in this movie, Val Kilmer and Anthony LaPaglia. So he was a nice guy, but he's been in a lot of things. He's a name that you might not know his name, but when you see his face or some of the films he has been in, you'll be like, yeah, he's even in So I Married an Axe Murderer. He's in that. But he's been in a lot. There's so many things that I seen him in. He was in one. I don't know if it was The Conjuring part. He was in the film, and I can't think of it now. But I'll throw it out there because as you all listening, you all might know what it is. Is that he was in maybe a couple years back, where he is allowing these, I guess, these orphans to stay in his house. And but he's kind of strict, and he's like, you can't go in this one room, and then ghostly things start happening.
And that's, I wish I could really think of that movie, because he's been in so many things that I know that you all will be like, oh, yeah, I know him. I've seen that guy. And I'm not even sure who he plays in the Big Stone Gap movie, to be honest with you. But that's where I met him. Let's see, do I have a favorite or least favorite scene? I've got to turn that down. That, I really wish I could get the score for the Salton Sea, because it's really good as well. But do I have a favorite scene or a least favorite scene? I do admire the very. I can't really break down just one particular scene, because they're all a great piece to the puzzle that is the Salton Sea. I would say the opening with the voiceover is pretty good, because it kind of takes you through how the drug that they're using came to be a little bit, and it's wrapped up. They do it probably a 2-minute scene. I did take this film in that scene to I think it was a film class one time, and presented. This was a great opening scene. Like I said, it originally starts with Danny Parker or Tom Van Allen playing the trumpet, flames, and he said, "Don't give up on me yet. Just listen to my story." And then it cuts to, the beginning of the movie. But yeah, that's a great scene. All the scenes where he is going deep in, I guess you could use the word undercover, although he's not a police officer. But when he's going deep undercover as Danny Parker, he's befriending some of these drug addicts. This one drug addict in particular, who is played by Peter Sarsgaard, Jimmy the Finn, and he's called Finn in the movie. And he's actually really, his only real fault. You don't get to know the background of all these characters, because they're side characters. This movie is set in the seedy world. It's not necessarily about each of these individual characters, as it is about Tom Ben Allen going kind of underground, undercover, to avenge his wife's death. And the means that he has to do that is through this drug avenue. So he's doing the drugs. He's going out, getting them, and he's just having a night party. But in the meantime, spoiler alert, in the meantime, every so often, he's getting, he's being a rat and turning over someone, maybe a dealer that he's got something from, to these two cops, these two officers. So that is kind of like what he's, spoiler alert, like I said, but that is kind of who he thinks is behind his wife's death. And the only way that he was able to get close enough to find out was to create this character, crash into their car, seemingly drunk. And in order for him to get out of any kind of prison or sentence or anything, he thought they were dirty police. And therefore, they're using him to make the drug bust while they're getting the praise. But he's got a plan. And the plan, I'm not going to go into the plan, but the plan, when he first goes to visit Pooh Bear, that's another fantastic scene. There's a nice little touching dialogue going back and forth between Finn and Danny as they're driving out. And Finn isn't he's charming and he's sweet, but he's not the most intelligent. And it's a very sweet moment driving there that they have. And then when you first meet Pooh Bear and his crew, the pigeon thing that I was talking about earlier. So those are some of the best scenes in the movie. I don't really have a scene that I don't like. We have least favorite scenes, but for this film, I don't think that I like the ending song that they use at the ending credits. I don't think it's in the actual movie. I think it fades to black, and then the song begins. I can't recall what it is, but I remember watching it again a few nights ago, thinking, I would have chosen a different song. Score, music, this is the part where I actually really do need the score that I could play for you all, because this score it's a haunting trumpet sound, and it's Val Kilmer actually really playing the trumpet. He learned to play the trumpet for this film, and it's very sad. It's very moving. And it's not this. But he states in there, it's a cover song, and I wish that I could think of the cover song it was, and I would play it for you. But I would say, you know, I don't even know if it's on Spotify. I don't even think they actually released any kind of a score at it at all, because, like I said, once the song that scene wasn't taken out, Warner Brothers probably wasn't going to spend any more money on it than they already spent, because they were like, well, listen, in their minds, we've spent 18 mil. We'll throw in a couple more mil promotion, let them do the talk show circuit, and then that's it. It's unless it breaks out. I mean, if the movie happens to break out, then there's nothing they can do. They can choose to, have it being sold out to, 10 theaters, or they could try to release it wide and see how that does. Now, when I saw this movie, it was only a few people. And I specifically would go to this film because they had, or this movie theater, because they often had movies that only played in a few theaters. So that was why I really liked going there. And I've seen Silence of Sleep there. We saw some kind of, I think it was called Broken Flowers, a Bill Murray movie we saw there. Actually, Terry and I saw there. And we walked out of a movie called The Aristocrats, I think was what it was called. And it was like these comedians, it was just these comedians telling the dirtiest joke in the world, but each of them was telling the joke. And the punchline was The Aristocrats. And it was one of the most unfunny jokes, much less unfunny films, not even a film, movies that I've ever seen. So we walked out and we walked into Broken Flowers. That is only one of two movies that I've ever walked out of. The Aristocrats, and I also walked out of the movie of Team America. I found that not funny in the least. Team America. Those marionette puppets. And then we walked into Shaun of the Dead after that. So I think both times I've walked out, I've upgraded in films. But I really wish that you all could, if you want to go to YouTube, you could see what Val Kilmer plays in the Salton Sea. Because I really, let's see if we can get it here, just to see. Oh, I may have stumbled upon the, let's see if I've done it here. Thomas Newman, he seems to be the, who made the score. And I'm not really all that familiar, to be honest with you, with Thomas Newman's work. So I can't really say anything about it. But he does have a soundtrack and score name. I mean, Newman, I forget the other guy that named Newman. I'm losing my train of thought here. Too many things jumping around. Let's see here. Here's a little bit of the score. I mean, score is one of the most important aspects of a movie. So yeah, definitely check out. It is the score by Thomas Newman, and actually, it all is on the YouTube. On the YouTube. So yeah, the scores are great. It's a great mixture of many different things, and I really wish that I could find the actual opening trumpet. But if it's out there anywhere, you'll be able to check it out. Originality. This is definitely one original movie. I've seen. I watch a movie per day or per night. I rarely ever watch a movie during the day, but I'll watch a movie tonight after the other people's show. Um, and I was watching before I came in. I was rewatching some scenes from the Salton Sea as well. But this is one of the most original movies that you'll ever see. I do believe, not only in the way it's shot, the way it's acted, the score, the way it's pieced together, edited, and there really are these twists and turns that most people will not see coming. This is one of the opening songs when they're kind of being introduced. I can just see the scene in my mind. But yeah, originality. It is a very original movie. The poster. I know this is radio. This is podcast. You're listening online. You're watching the video on YouTube or Facebook. But go check out the poster. Just type in the Salton Sea, Val Kilmer. You probably don't even have to type in Val Kilmer. I think if you type in the Salton Sea, it will clearly show up, and you can see what you think of it. I think it represents the movie. If you find that poster intriguing, a little mysterious, and you want to explore more, then I think this. I'm looking at the poster right now. It says the Salton Sea, has Val Kilmer kind of looking down. You can see the skeleton with his arms out on the back, flames at the bottom of the poster, kind of burning the bottom, and then the actual Salton Sea in the background. And it's kind of in a black and white, and the only color happens to be kind of the orange hue, the purple glow of the flame. Of the flame. Oh, would I recommend the Salton Sea? Yeah, yeah. I think if you've listened to this episode, I've given it praise throughout. And I sometimes want to wait until the end to give praise or not give praise. Sometimes I do want to just wait and see what others may be thinking through before I even give my opinion. But I do want to. I can't stress enough that if you like this kind of, crime, drug, mystery, film noir, unique, original, Quentin Tarantino-ish type movie with well-known actors and actresses that you've seen, 80% of them, they're doing some of their best work in a very original concept, in a very original movie. So yeah, one of Val Kilmer's best performances, I would say. And there's not a weak link at all. Let's just listen for just a moment.
But that song is, I'm trying to remember. I think that song is actually in the movie, but just for a brief scene. But it's a brief scene where Danny tells Finn, I'm in dire need of some cash. And then, he kind of tells him that he wants to plan to, go buy all of Pooh Bear. But first they go and they buy a gun. And they buy a gun from this, he looks like a kid. I'm not sure how old he is, but it's kind of ironic because he spouts off all of this information about these guns, just like second nature. And it's only probably a minute of the movie, but it comes back because he tells how many can be in the chamber. This won't impress the ladies. If you just want the basics, it'll do the job. This is it. All prices are negotiable. It's like the sales pitch, and it's kind of a darkly comic moment in this film. See, there's some intense score too. So there's a lot of score of different magnitude for everyone to enjoy. And it does play of you might not think that, but if you try to watch a movie and there's no score unless it's intended that way, you're going to miss it. You're going to miss not having that music bed. You're going to miss not having something to kind of subtly get you at least going in the direction that they want you to go in. The music is there to help guide you, to help guide with the emotions as well. And the music does play a part in pulling the heartstrings. But yeah, I think you should definitely go on Tubi later on tonight and check out the Salton Sea. It's a fun movie that very entertaining, enjoyable, great performances, unique, very original, and a great first script that was only meant to showcase a young writer's talent. That was made into this $18 million mid-budgeted movie that could have probably broke even or made more than 700,000 back. Warner Brothers was too shy to put it out to the mainstream because of one or two scenes. So seek this movie out and enjoy it. And thank you for listening to Real Talk on 92.5 WLSD, The Vault. We will be back in just a few moments for the Other People Show. Have a good night.